Welcome to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
Hi, I'm Wendy. After I graduated with my master's in wellness management, I started my own company, T2 Coaching, Health, Fitness, and Sport.
And I'm Kirsten, an athlete, vegan, life coach, and girl mom, running a business focused on helping others create a life they love.
We are here to explore all things wellness to help you become the person you've always wanted to be.
So if that's why you're here, open your ears and your mind as we tackle the world of wellness together. Hey, everybody.
Hey, Kirsten.
Hi, Wendy. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, actually. I always have a rough start to my week, but by the time we get here, everything is great, which is nice.
Yeah.
Maybe we should record this earlier in the week.
Well, no, we talked about your why though, why that happens. You kind of told that story on the podcast. So
yeah. So what is your wellness win?
I had to think about this one because I wasn't like as excited as I was last time we talked about this last week. And we are at the end of my birth month. So right now I've checked off so far everything that I've wanted to accomplish during my birth month. I have a few more days. And so it's going to be hit or miss. I mean, sometimes it's hit or miss because of weather. But this time it's going to be hit or miss just due to my schedule. And I'm taking care of my mom right now. She had hip replacement. So, I'm kind of tied to her location. And so I'm not sure if I could get away to do one more thing at the end of the month that I want to do.
Don't know, I keep forgetting to ask you, and I think about it every time, and then I forget to ask you. I even thought about it like right before we got on. I was like, I need to ask Wendy, how's your business coaching training going? That business coaching class?
Oh, that's going really well.
Are you learning a lot?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Because, like you, I've been coaching, I started like 25 years ago on paper and pencil. I wrote people's training plans on paper, pencil. There was no social media, just like how we started triathlons. We had to figure it out on our own. And so, at this day and age, content marketing is huge. Social media marketing is huge. Back in 2020, I started doing a lot more video content because I had time because things were shut down, and I would go to this lake and record all these videos, and then I would upload them to Dave Erickson from Endurance Hour, his YouTube channel, and they were very educational. So I started getting not shy around the camera. And so, but then, my business kind of took a nosedive during that 2023 when I broke my knee, and I'm like, what do I need to do to get out of this funk? And so what I really like about it is, again, having a coach, even though it's not a coach for my sport, having a business coach, having that accountability partner, having someone to give you, what are you going to do this week?
Right.
And a lot of, again, she has a lot of education, a lot of resources that I dove into because I'm a little bit behind than other people who are in her program. And so I like to listen to stuff when I'm training, biking or running, indoors on the bike, of course. And I've just learned a lot, again, mainly about like Instagram and the content I share on Instagram and sharing my stories. And she's just really fun. My business coach kind of reminds me a little bit of me and my personality and your personality a little bit. Like, again, when it comes to posting, just post something and get away from it. Don't worry. Like, yes, of course you want it to be good content, and sometimes it's not, but who cares? Just get it done.
Right.
And that's about a lot of things that I'm learning, and I like that. I feel like she's giving me permission to be me, kind of spontaneous. And so, yeah, it's going really well. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Yeah, I've noticed. So it's really good because since you've already done all these videos over the years, you probably have a huge bank of videos that you haven't really done a lot with.
Right. And now I am.
So now you can like repurpose them for a purpose instead of just, I'm making these videos because I'm supposed to be making videos. I just don't know what to do with them after I make them.
Right. And, so the marketing content's been really good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love your videos, and they are educational. They're well done. They're precise. They're not a lot of fluff. Like sometimes you'll see like, oh, I want to watch this video, and it's like 6 minutes and they don't like get to the point until like minute 5:57. And you're like, I don't really have time for this. And I, and I think that is, like podcasts, I think are a little bit different because I listen to, like you do, we listen to podcasts when we're like doing something else,
Mm-hmm.
like when folding laundry or cleaning the house or going on a
Yeah.
long ride or a run or something. So I don't need to hear the end right away. But if I'm just watching a video that I want some information about or to learn something about, I want to see it now. I want the
it in the
answer right up
beginning.
front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That you don't. So that reminds me, I'm not a chef or cook or barely make anything other than like, throw stuff together. But every once in a while, and I got this from you a long time ago, Wendy. You said that sometimes you'll like whatever you have in the kitchen, you'll like Google like, what do I do if I have a squash, a tomato, some brown sugar, some butter, and some sunflower seeds?
Yeah.
Like you take whatever you have left in your house. So I've done that before, and people who do recipe blogs, they're a different breed than me because they literally have whole stories or videos or all these elaborate pictures. And
Mm-hmm.
all I want is the recipe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. When you go to a recipe, you just got to keep going down, scrolling down, scrolling. And you're just like, oh my gosh.
Just give me the recipe.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I already want the recipe. You don't have to like talk me into wanting the recipe.
Right.
But I think a lot of them now, they have like, right when you open it, there's a little like button that you could be like,
Go to
skip to recipe.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, smart. Somebody figured that out.
Mm-hmm.
So my wellness win is, I always throughout the week, and I hope you guys all do this. I hope anytime something good happens, whether it's on the scale from 1 to 10, whether it's a 2 or an 8, if it's something exciting or positive or good, I hope you guys stop and just kind of think like, wow, this is a wellness win. And I do that all week, but one really stood out this week. So it happened a few days ago. And so I was like, I really want to share this because for me, this is huge. I was at the gym and I haven't weighed myself in a couple weeks. And I don't feel like I've gained or lost weight, but in the past that hasn't mattered. I just weigh myself every time I'm near a scale. And I work at a gym. And so it's like every time I walk by, like I could be walking by to the pool and then from the pool and I'll weigh myself twice. So I usually weigh myself a lot. So I'm at the gym and I was like, wow, I haven't weighed myself in a long time because I was doing the swimsuit spinner and it's right next to the scale at Lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing the swimsuit spinner. I'm like, I haven't weighed myself in a while. And I was like, I should just weigh myself just to see where I'm at. And then I was like, I really don't have time. I was in a really big rush. It's spring break. My daughter's out of school, so I can't like dilly-dally around, and I'm driving around over the place with her. And so I was like, I really don't have time to weigh myself. I'll do it another day. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, that is a huge wellness win because in the past, I would have rather been a minute late, picking my daughter up from kid care or, having to, I would rather waste that minute or spend that minute weighing myself than to not know what I weigh in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I was like, I don't really have time to weigh myself. I'll do it another day. I was like, holy wellness win. Like that was huge, huge, huge because I believe that you will make time for whatever's important. So
Yes.
when you say like, I don't have time for this or I don't have time for that, it's just not that important to you in the moment.
Yes.
And I believe that. And I know you believe that too, Wendy. We make time just like money. We find money for what's really important to us. We make time for what's really important to us. And in the past, that must have been more important because I made a lot of time for it. And this time I was like, I don't have time. I'll do it another time. And that just like, my mind was blown. And I was like, this is the hugest wellness win. I have to share this.
That's fantastic.
I know. I was really proud of me.
And I know we're kind of going off topic, but not really because it has to do with
We're
what you
never
just
off
told me.
topic because everything in life, everything we talk about is wellness.
So you step on the scale. What would that have done for you in the moment?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. But in the past, that question wouldn't have mattered to me I would have just wanted to know the number and then would have judged myself on the number and may or may not have affected anything I did that day. But it would definitely affect how I felt. I would either go, oh, this is so frustrating. Or I'd be like, oh, that was better than I thought. Like there's going to be some sort of emotion either way that intellectually I know is irrelevant to what I'm working on right now. And I think finally for the first time that in my head, like, I was like, this isn't going to do, like you said, what's it going to do? In the past, I wouldn't have cared. I still needed to know. And this time I was like, it's going to be better to move on with my day without knowing either way.
Right. That's fantastic.
I know. I was excited. So this week we are talking a lot of our ideas for our podcasts we get from you guys. So that's why we're always at the end. We're like, tell us what you want to learn about. Tell us what you want to hear about. Tell us what you want to discuss. Tell us what's interesting to you. And the idea for what we're doing today came from one of my non-athlete, non-fitness, non-nutrition friends, which is rare because most of our friends, when Wendy and I have talked about this on the podcast, we cater kind of toward people who are like us. Like athletes who are going to the gym or doing a lot of training, caring about what they eat, overall wellness. So one of my friends who is not like us at all, she was like, I get that that's what you and Wendy are into, but it's still over my head. Like, even though we're like, oh, it's wellness made easy, to somebody who is not in this realm of this environment at all, a lot of things we talk about are still way over her head. And if there's one person like that, there's a ton of people like that. So we decided to do an episode on simplifying everything. And we have some different categories of wellness that we're going to go over. We have 10 categories of wellness. And then if you guys are like, oh, wait, you missed this category, let us know in the show notes. We'll go over it in another podcast. But we each wanted to, and Wendy and I have no idea what each other is going to say. We don't plan that far out. We just knew this is what we were going to do. So we're just going to take it one topic at a time. And we're each going to mention one, maybe two, depending how, but just taking it down to a simple, basic, easy step that you guys can take if you're wanting to better yourself in this area. Did I explain that right, Wendy?
Yeah. And, we thought this was a good time during the podcast to do that because we are a quarter into the year. Ooh. So it kind of summarizes, what we've done the last 3 months.
Yeah. I think this is number 14.
Yeah.
13 or 14. I want to say 14.
Yeah. 14.
I never really know until I publish it. And then I'm like, oh, wow, we've done a lot. So we want to just kind of, because this is called Wellness Made Easy, and we do want to simplify it. And sometimes when you're inundated in a topic, you think you might be simplifying it until you say it to someone who has no idea what you're talking about. And I learned this in the last few months. I've been doing jujitsu, which I've talked about a few times. And I have learned so much about my own coaching and what I need to be doing to new people and new athletes and as a personal trainer. Like I had a client last week or 2 weeks ago. She came to me and she was like, I've never been in a gym. She had never been in a gym. She was 40 something maybe. Never been in a gym. She knows she needs to work out. She has no desire to do anything like outside of the gym. She works at the police department. They have a gym. She just wanted to know, what do I need to do when I get there? And her goal was 10 minutes a day, 4 days a week, because that seemed realistic to her. So I'm showing her exercises, and I'm, to me, like if you say like a chest press, most people who are familiar with exercise would know what a chest press is. She had no idea because she's never done this at all. So me doing jujitsu has made me realize that there are some people that have never stepped in a gym, which Wendy and I have worked at gyms our entire life. So like to us, that's crazy. Or like swimming, to be like, all right, I'm going to teach you this drill, blah, 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 do a 25. And they're like, what's a 25? And we're like, oh, 25 yards or 25 meters. But to someone who's never been exposed to swimming in a competitive way would have no idea how long a pool is.
Right.
So that's what our goal is to give you guys one or two from each category of something just to do now. And you don't have to do something from every category, but maybe think of a category that you're trying to improve on or that you want to jump into, and just take this little teeny tiny baby step.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Wendy, you go first, but our first category is physical wellness. So what would be a little tip from you?
I think a lot of people are into daily steps and maybe have a Fitbit or some sort of activity tracker. And if you don't, that's okay. But my first thought is get to know what your baseline average daily steps are and increase it 500, 1,000, 2,000 by a little bit, and see how that makes you feel. And I would say, try to do as much of that activity outside when you're trying to increase your steps, because like we talked about on another podcast, getting outside, sunshine, fresh air, vitamin D is really good for your body. So just, again, getting your baseline a step rate and then setting a goal that's realistic to you to say, okay, I'm going to do an extra 500 steps.
Yeah, I love that. Mine is similar. Mine has to do with time of day, a time that you have available. And so what I would say is look over your schedule and pick a time that you have available, a number of minutes you have available each day to move your body. And that could be 4 minutes. Like, look at your schedule. It's going to be different for everyone, and say, what can I do each day? And pick a number, like, we'll say 5 minutes, because I feel like everybody could find 5 minutes in a day, just like everyone can take 100 extra steps a day. So 5 minutes, just commit, put it in your schedule, say, I'm going to move my body for 5 minutes a day. That could be going outside, going for a walk. That could be turning on your music and jumping around. That could be standing there and while you're breastfeeding your child, doing squats. Like, you don't have to do it as a separate thing. If you're really busy, you can incorporate it into other things in your day. If you're waiting for, like, I had these vegan burgers for lunch today. They take 8 minutes to cook. I didn't stand there and exercise because I exercised all morning, but you could, jog in place. You could step side to side while your burgers are cooking. So just pick a very reasonable, realistic number and do it every day to start creating a habit of moving your body. And Wendy and I like streaks. So it's like that. So it gave me the idea. It's like, okay, I'm going to do a movement streak. 5 minutes a day, I'm going to move my body in a way that I'm not used to doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can build on your streak. So I love those. I love those both.
The saying, it takes 21 days to create a habit.
Yeah. Do one of these for 21 days. And like Wendy said, assess how you feel. And see if, like, okay, that feels great. Or, oh, wow, 5 minutes was really easy to find. Maybe I'll do 10 minutes next month.
Mm-hmm.
Or 100 steps extra a day was really easy. The following month, I'm going to do 200 more.
Yeah.
So simple, get moving. All right, Wendy, our second category is nutritional wellness.
So the first thing I thought about is 5 a day. I think a lot of people have heard eat 5 fruits and vegetables a day. So again, find out how many do you eat now? Maybe you already are at that point, and think about eating a fruit or vegetable that you've never tried before. Try something new. There's plenty out there.
What constitutes a serving?
A serving of vegetables?
and fruit and both.
I think a cup of vegetables and then
That's what
maybe
I would say.
a fist size of a fruit
Yeah.
or like a cup of sliced apples or sliced fruit is generally a serving.
Yeah. That's what I say. I generally say like a half cup of fruit and a full cup of vegetables.
Yeah.
Like if you smush them down.
Yeah. So I like the idea of try something, a fruit or vegetable that you've never had before.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause you might love it.
Mhm.
I like that. That was kind of my first thought was eat more vegetables. Because it's like you could, it's simple. We all know what a fruit and vegetable is, and we all know how to eat one more servings. But since Wendy said it, I'm going to, something else I think is really simple to get more fruits and vegetables is I make everything into a salad. So if take your favorite meal and like throw it on a bed of lettuce and just start like as a simple way to add more vegetables because it's going to fill you up more and it's going to give you the nutrients so you might not be craving all the other crap. But I'm with Wendy in that if you struggle with your nutrition, don't start eliminating things from your diet because that could be a recipe for disaster. I say add the good things and it's going to start weeding out the bad things because you're going to be too full to eat, a sleeve of Oreos after dinner because you just ate this massive salad.
Mhm.
So like I like for example like Mexican food. I like enchiladas. So I'll make enchiladas, I'll chop them up, and then I'll throw them on a bed of lettuce. And then put all the things like I like sour cream and guacamole and cilantro, and then I mix it all into a big salad. And that way, one or two enchiladas fill me up instead of like 7 enchiladas. So make everything into a salad as my simple.
I like it.
But we both agree fruits and vegetables, add them in health wise, fiber wise, you're going to feel fuller and it's going to be a spiral upward.
Yes.
All right. Those are easy. You guys, these are so easy. All right, Wendy, mental wellness.
Well, I have two things here. So I'm going to say two. You probably have the same things. One thing is mental wellness. If, again, going back to our anxiety podcast, write things down, keep your journal. Again, a minute a day, 5 minutes a day, whatever you have time for in the morning, in the evening. But just commit to yourself to having just a brain dump and get it all out of your head. Or maybe there's someone close to you that you just want to talk to. And then also practicing gratitude. So staying positive, really checking in on yourself when you're in this negative space environment and you're feeling negative, just really catch that of what's going on and strategies to go back to a time that you were positive and happy and get that moment and that feeling in your mind. So you don't let that negativity kind of take over the day.
Yeah, I love both of those. I would definitely say 100%. And simple. If you're like, oh, but I don't have a journal. I don't have. I do a lot of stuff in the notes on my
So do I.
phone.
That's the only thing I use. I don't like paper.
Yeah. So I did this gratitude challenge one time, and we were supposed to do 10 gratitudes a day, but not only the gratitude, but why. So they were like, oh, write down what you're grateful for and why. And I bought this new journal. I carried it around with me. I never did it. But when I was like in the car driving or sitting on the bike at the gym, I could talk to text and be like, I'm grateful for my dogs because they snuggle with me in the morning or whatever. So I like, it was too long and tedious for me to write all that down, but for me to talk into my notes. And then I could open up my notes and every day have 10 things. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at all these amazing things. So it doesn't have to be, if you enjoy, like, if that excites you and you enjoy like getting out all your colored pens and getting a new journal or even a notebook and like decorating it, if that's something that brings you joy, definitely do that. But you don't have to do that to journal. You can type in your computer, you can talk into your phone. You could do your brain dump talking into your phone, into your notes, or talking just into a recording, the voice recorder on your phone. You don't have
Oh,
to
yeah, I
re-listen
used to
to
do
it.
that too.
Yeah. I've done that while I'm biking. If I come up with a really good idea, because I always think of things while I'm biking and swimming. And when I'm biking, I don't want to stop and like write a note in my phone. So
Mhm.
I'll like, while I'm biking, I'll do like talk to text. And then afterwards, it's always something crazy because with the wind and everything, it like my phone doesn't understand me.
Mhm.
So I like that. But yeah, do it, make it simple. Um, Mine would be for mental is and I know this is like a big ask, but it could be something really little. Do something you love every single day. So I remember I was really struggling for a while with my mental health, and my therapist, it actually wasn't my therapist. It was, I had this life coach for a while, and he goes, make a list of 50 things you love. And I'm like, 50 things I love. And I was really struggling, and I could not for the life of me come up with 50 things. So he was like, okay, 10. So I made a list of 10 things I love. And at first he was like, okay, do one every day. And I was like my day was like 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. of work. And then I was juggling all these other things. I couldn't do any of that. So what I did was I made a list of 10 things I like. And I couldn't even do like love. I think I put 10 things I enjoy. And then I tried to do one a week. But after a while, I was able to, oh, look, I'm doing 2 a week. Oh, look, I'm doing 3 a week. And you guys, these can be little things. Think of things that make you feel good and that bring you joy. Taking a shower is something that feels really good for me. So mentally, that would be something on my list. Taking a shower, eating yummy food, going to the gym, like little just things that they don't have to be big things like going on a vacation. It can be. And then maybe you can spend 5 minutes each day planning a vacation but do something every day that brings you joy. Because if you're not enjoying your day-to-day life, it's going to be really hard to want to keep going.
Mhm.
So
That's a good one.
thank you. All right, here we go. Category number 4, emotional wellness.
Cry.
Mm,
So just don't, whenever you have a feeling of sadness, anger, happiness, joy, express it. You know, the other day, I have some and communicate it. So when I say cry, communicate what you're feeling, and if what you're feeling needs you to make you cry, that's a good feeling, because when you cry, it kind of makes everything better. Because it happened to me the other day. I have some little family dynamic stress going on, and it reminds me of what I was going through 2 years ago with this family dynamic stress, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. Like, I didn't know how much that was impacting me until I started crying. And then it was kind of like, oh, okay, that's the only thing I needed. Because I don't, I'm going to say this, I don't have PMS anymore. I felt like I was PMSing, and that doesn't happen to me anymore. So I'm like, Don's like, what is going on? Is it that time of the month? I'm like, it hasn't been
right.
that time of the month in 5 years. It's not that time of the month. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I was getting really angry at him for trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and he was just doing his job. He's my husband. But I'm just like, I just need to be alone to figure this out. That's how I deal with it. And then once I cried, I was fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. I like to, I've learned, I wouldn't say I like to, but when I feel like I'm going to cry, like pay attention to what caused that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like if we pay attention to our emotions and let them be a guide for us, we can figure a lot of things out. And
And
so if
that's
like
exactly what
every
happened.
time,
That's exactly what happened to me.
yeah, if every time you watch a movie when certain things happen, it makes you cry, maybe that's something to contemplate. Is like, why is every time this XYZ happens, every time they fall in love or every time they, whatever, I get choked up, what does this mean? But yeah, a good holding. I did that a lot in my younger years, is held back my emotions. And then when they would come out, it was like a flood. And it's like the floodgates open and it never stopped. Whereas now I'm better at, if I feel like crying, I cry. And so they don't get clogged up and explode. So I like that. Mine would be to talk to somebody. It's just
communicating it with someone is a big deal.
Yeah. So like, just have friends, have a support system. If you don't have a good support system with family or friends, get a therapist. Or like now, I forgot the website, but there's like websites now that you can go on and like talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be like on a weekly basis. It doesn't have to be, $150 for a 45-minute session. They have, we can do you know what website I'm talking about, Wendy?
No.
I don't know. I can't think of the name of it, but it's like therapy online. And so you can find it. And so if you really have no support system, you have no one that you can talk to, then reach out to a professional, because sometimes just talking about what is going on with you helps. Like Wendy, it's the same as crying. It like helps clear it out. And even saying it out loud sometimes just lowers the intensity of some of the emotions and keeps everything just flowing freely.
Mm-hmm.
So that's mine, is just talk to somebody about your feelings. All right. Number 5, Wendy, social wellness.
We had a whole podcast about this.
Yeah.
Stay off social media and create your own local tribe. Again, going back to relationships, surround yourself with people who are like you, who add value to your life, and stay away from people who take value away from your life. Stay away from, again, the social media aspect of things that could, again, make you crazy, make you feel certain emotion, make you feel certain way mentally, and just, delete your social media account so you don't have to see that negativity anymore.
Yeah. And we talked about this. We've actually talked about it a couple times on the podcast. But to add to that, I would say the people in your life that you have to be around, like if you work with somebody and you have to be around them, and if they're maybe like a energy sucker or a energy vampire, just do some work around, if you can't limit your time. Because number one, I'd say try to limit your time and energy around them, but do some work with just protecting your own well-being. One of the things I did, I had somebody in my life that was kind of like that, like complained a lot, and it was someone that I had to be around, and I would kind of like half listen and half go inside my head and do my own thing inside my head to protect myself from that, like infiltrating into my head.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of like find ways, and you could go online and search this or talk to your therapist about it or something. Find ways to protect yourself from other people's energies.
Right. And again, just surround yourself with people who add value to your life. So like today, every Thursday, I meet my friend Anne. We sometimes run and bike. We sometimes just run. Like today, we just ran. And I was feeling this stress, this family situation. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel like being social today. Maybe I should cancel on Anne, blah, 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 blah. And in the end, we went for a walk instead of a ride. And it was the best thing that probably happened to me today, was meeting my good friend Anne. So I could talk to her again, express my emotion to her, and she was a good listener, and she gave me some good insight. And I came out of that feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
So having that community support.
Yeah, 100%. And so mine, cause I was kind of thinking along the same lines, but you reminded me liking, be with people like you, I think is really important. And one of the things that I would say for social wellness is join something that makes you feel seen and heard and included. So I do some animal rights stuff with Anonymous for the Voiceless. And we either do Boulder or Denver. Boulder is usually like a 25-minute drive. Denver's like a 30-minute drive. Then we eat after. So it's a whole like all afternoon thing. And I get really busy on the weekends. And sometimes I'm like, oh, that's just, it's something I want to do to speak out for the animals, but it also takes probably a minimum 4-hour chunk of time. But when I go, I'm always like, this is where I need to be because I'm surrounded by people. And especially when we go out and eat afterwards and we all talk about what's important to us, and we're all vegan and we're all animal rights activists, and we have that common mindset, and it's just so great. And then I don't want to leave, even if I'm like, I got to get going because I have, something else to do. But it's like, I want to be around these people more, and they make me feel like really good socially. So it's a social situation that leaves me feeling energized and good and wanting to do more, rather than a social situation that we've all been in before where we're like exhausted when we leave.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have had those.
So those are really, again, little just simple things. If you're like, I don't know anyone like me or who does my things, meetups, they're still a thing. They've been around for like 20 years now. If you go to meetup.com, you can search common groups in your area of interests, common interests. There's Facebook groups if you are on social media. Search for people who have something in common with you. And those are neat people to be around. All right. Wendy, we have spiritual wellness.
So whether you believe in a certain religion or a certain God, you can be spiritual, but not be religious like that. So just kind of connecting to something that's bigger than you, spending time in nature, meditate. I've done a 30-day meditation challenge with myself. It's really hard to meditate for me.
It is. That's my challenge too.
But kind of meditating, it's a breathing exercise. Kind of the gratitude and just reflecting on something that's meaningful to you, that's bigger than you.
Yeah. I love all those things. 99% of the things you could do in that realm are free. You can spend 5 minutes on it. It's something that's really simple and easy to start with. What I would add to that is finding, like, if something is calling to you kind of on a spiritual level, or something is making sense to you in like the bigger picture of life level, is delve into it a little bit. So maybe find a podcast or a book or a group that is kind of studying that same thing. And those are also just really simple things that you could like jump into or just kind of toy around with that can give you a big benefit, and that can be really meaningful in that same area of just connecting to something.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was thinking when you said go out to nature, because that's when I was thinking of these earlier today, I was like, that was going to be my simple thing, is like go out into nature and just like walk around barefoot for 2 minutes and like take a big breath and like feel the air. But then I was like, but if that doesn't fill somebody up, like being outside might be miserable for somebody. So think about like, where do I feel connected, like Wendy said, to something bigger than me, something else in this universe? That might be lighting a candle or lighting incense. Like I have this incense that smells so good. And whenever I'm like feeling like my house is like disgusting and messy, the first thing I do is light the incense. And it kind of does twofold. One, it makes my house smell really good, but it also it's like kind of a reminder to just relax, chill out. It's going to be okay. And just do one little thing. So it's just like, that's what I think meditation does. It kind of like puts us in our place
Mm-hmm.
of it's going to be okay. Just start with a breath and go from there.
One thing I thought of when you were talking is I'm a celestial person. Sunrises and sunsets are way
Yes.
bigger.
Yeah.
Anything astronomical the universe is so big. So if anyone follows me on social media, when I get a good sunrise or sunset, I'm posting it on my story on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's just when I have the opportunity, it's mostly I see as many sunrises as I can due to my schedule. I still when I just love it, and I have to capture it on a photo and share it because to me it brings so much energy and so much positivity in my life for whatever reason. When I'm driving, and usually it's during the sunset time, I'm either driving home from coaching the kids or whatnot. I'm always kind of looking out like, oh my God, there's the sun, it's setting. Really big deal. It rises and sets every single day.
Right.
But to me, every time I see it, it's just this feeling I get by seeing it happen is so positive for me that is something I really want to have everyone experience.
Right. And that reminded me of something that's also really simple that you can do is find something that's meaningful, like sunrise, sunset, something that you just feel intuitively or in your gut that means something to you, and do a little ritual around it. So like a full moon or a new moon. So and you can make it mean whatever you want, but in general, a lot of people around the new moon set a new intention. So you can find a moon calendar online, and every time there's a new moon, you can write down like, this is what I want to happen in my life in the next month.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a new moon and a full moon every single month. So it could become a little bit of a ritual for you to connect to that moon and connect to that, what a moon typically means. So like I said, the new moon typically means setting an intention. And then a full moon is like letting go of something. And a lot of people do like deep cleaning on the full moon, or, but you can attach whatever meaning you want to any of these things and make it important to you and make it meaningful for you. Those are simple. Good job. Good job, us. All right. Financial.
So again, financial, besides creating a budget, which could be very difficult, used to be very difficult for me, is I thought of for every time you achieve something we've already talked about, like your daily steps, your 5-minute workout a day, your extra fruit, your new fruit, journaling, staying off social media, connecting to a friend, calling a friend you haven't, or texting a friend you haven't talked to in a long time, all these things, reward yourself with a quarter or $1 or $5 or $10, whatever you can afford. Start putting money in a jar for every time you do something that you've never done before, and see how that jar fills up with money.
Ooh, and then that's a good visual of like, look at all these things I'm doing that are amazing for myself.
Yep.
I instinctually want to say, don't spend money you don't have, because I feel like that's such a basic, simple, and I'm saying, for those of you not watching, I'm saying simple in quotes because it is simple. It's a simple concept. Don't spend money you don't have. But I feel like it's the absolute hardest thing to do financially for me and a lot of people I've talked to, because a lot of us don't have extra money to spend at all. And then if you just stick with don't spend money you don't have, you're like, guess I'm not paying rent.
Well, and again, it's another thing, like credit cards make it easy to spend money we don't have.
Yeah.
So, have a plan to say by such and such a date, I'm a cash only, and tear up all your credit cards and don't apply for credit cards and be a cash only person.
Yeah.
That's really hard to do these days because we're in a credit card society.
And we're in an immediate gratification society.
Immediate gratification. We've been to events like our grandkids, softball, basketball type of thing, gymnastics, where we have to pay an entry fee to get in to watch, and it's credit card only. And again, who carries cash anymore?
Right.
But it's something that if you don't have the cash, you can't get the item.
Yeah.
And that goes along with budgeting too. That's going to force you to create a budget.
Right. Yeah. So that was the first thing I came up with, but to me, that is a big challenge.
Yeah, totally.
What I would say, I have two really simple things because I struggle. This is one of the areas of my life I've struggled with. There's been times in my life where I've made a ton of money and then I spent a ton of money. There's a times in my life that I've made no money, but spent no money. Somehow it always evens out, but finances have been a really big struggle for me, like throughout my life. It's just a reoccurring theme. So one of the things that's a simple step that everyone can do. It takes a little bit of time, but if you have a good system, it's not bad, is tracking everything, tracking your income and tracking your expenses. If for nothing else, awareness. Like every time I do, I'm like, why do I have no money? Even the months that I make a lot of money, I'm like, I still have no money. And then when I track my income and expenses, I'm like, oh, that's why. It's kind of like if you gain 20 pounds and you don't know how that happened, and you start in just for a month, just for some awareness, you're tracking your food and your exercise and tracking the things in your life that add up to what could possibly make you gain weight. It's exactly the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that's something that it's simple. Everyone can do it, and it's a good awareness. And then something that's even easier, because all you have to do is listen. And I'm not saying that Dave Ramsey is like the end all be all of financial gurus, because there's a lot of financial people out there that make sense. But listening to a financial podcast or reading a couple pages of a financial book just to get some education might be a really easy place to start as well. And I've listened to Dave Ramsey for years and years, and he's very practical on don't spend money you don't have, get out of debt as soon as possible. What Wendy said about a cash-based lifestyle. And that doesn't mean like dollars and pennies. You can use a debit card. A debit card is cash-based because there's only money on a debit card, the money that you have. It's not a credit card. But listening to somebody, and even if you're just listening and doing nothing else, because there was a while where I think his podcasts are like 40 minutes long, and I would listen to one every single day and do nothing else, but just listen to it and just kind of soak it in. And it's just a little baby step toward where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have occupational wellness.
So the first thing that came to mind is if you don't like your job, there's some jobs we've all had in life that we just despise and we don't like. And how I get over that is you're getting paid to do something you do like to do. So if you're really just unhappy with the career that you're currently in, think about, well, I'm getting paid. I want to get paid so I can do something I really enjoy doing, like a vacation, like a certain meal, going out to dinner, a certain, place that you love. You couldn't go there unless you got paid. And so again, I think there's the benefit of every job is at least you're getting paid to do the things you want to do.
Yeah, I love that so much. And it goes along with when Wendy and I talk about like emotional well-being in any capacity, like we talked about success and failures and stuff like that. I feel like that's all that it's the same thing that we always talk about, is that you're trying to change the way you think of something so that it's a positive. And I heard a interview with, I think it was Oprah one time, and she said that it was like 90% of the things maybe it was 80 or 90, 80 to 90% of all the things that she had to deal with in a day, she hated.
Mm-hmm.
But they all allowed it, like, even just like what I mean by that is like her producers and her makeup and her like to put on her show. She disliked the majority of things that she had to go through on a daily in her job to put on her show. But that time that she got on stage with these amazing people that she got to interview made it all worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that same thing as like, think about the things that you're getting, the benefits of what you're doing instead of what you have to do to get the benefits.
Mm-hmm.
I do that with my coaching on Wednesday nights. I hate working on Wednesday nights. I don't get to bed till midnight. Today's Thursday. I'm exhausted. I don't like it, but I love what I do because I'm coaching the kids, and the kids aren't available during the day. They're at school. So if I want to coach the kids, it's going to be at night. And the other coach was like, well, what if you coached the early evening kids and I'll coach the late kids? But the late kids are my favorite because they're the older kids
Right.
so it's like, every time I think like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go to work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but I love coaching these kids. And then I enjoy myself every single time
Mm-hmm.
because I'm thinking of the benefit and the things I love about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is great. I 100% like, and that's simple because that's something you could just make a switch in your mind. You could write it down. You could talk about it with somebody. The other thing that I would say is if you really, really hate if your job gives you so much stress and you can't figure out anything that you love about it, maybe start thinking about ways that you can do something different. And I think these days there are so many different jobs and different businesses and different ways that you can make a living, that even if you had a 10-year plan, like, to me, if you hate your job and it causes so much stress, but you have a plan that in 10 years you're going to be done with it, that's going to alleviate some of the stress
Mm-hmm.
because you see an end. There's an end in sight. And, that might mean evaluating what's important to you in life. Maybe you're like, I can't leave this job because I'm never going to find a job that I get paid this much. Well, maybe, think about, and this is all just contemplating. You don't have to do anything, but sometimes going through these things in your mind helps alleviate some of the stress, which is, we always talk about, is kind of the opposite of wellness. Stress
Mm-hmm.
and anxiety and overwhelm are going to make you unwell. And
Mm-hmm.
so maybe just talking with somebody and thinking and maybe writing some notes and maybe making a little plan that I'm going to save an extra whatever a month so that I can retire 4 years earlier, or, something where you're just moving toward. I always think it's really important to take baby steps moving toward a life that you love.
I agree.
And I understand that's easier said than done for somebody who's in a really specific job and you're making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have to weigh what's important to you and how much stress a job you dislike is putting on yourself physically, mentally, emotionally.
Right. And that goes back to, if you're at a job where you're making a lot of money, but you have this, 10,000 square foot house or boat or vacation a lot because you have a vacation home, maybe you're just going to have to cut back on your expenses so you can afford to get a job that you enjoy and make less money.
Yeah. Yeah. I 100% agree. All right. I think we have two more. Environmental wellness.
So the first thing that comes to mind, because we've said it before, get outside, vitamin D, that's the answer. But there's another thing, I'm into recycling. So if I try to limit the types of items I buy at the store, things that come in a bottle. We talked about making our own almond milk so you don't have to buy the containers of almond milk or at the store. But like, if I like Starbucks, I like the refreshers. They come in a plastic cup. When I'm coaching the kids and drinking my refresher, sometimes I find myself that I just want to toss it in the garbage, but I don't. I bring it home, the plastic cup, because I recycle at home. So it's just like really hard for me to toss something in the garbage that's recyclable.
Mhm.
And so I think for environment, whether it works as well as we know or not, mentally, I'm going to feel better if I recycle rather than throw recyclable stuff in the trash.
Yes, I agree with that. And I also have been in situations where I've lived in a place where they don't like pick up recycles. And in that case, I have gathered my recycles and taken them to somewhere where they do recycle.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like my mom and my mom's development, they have a recycle thing. And I've taken for months and months and months when I lived in a place that didn't collect recyclables, I took them over there. So there's ways if you're like, oh, but my town doesn't recycle, there's some place in your town that recycles.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree that there, I believe that it's beneficial. And I know there are other beliefs out there, but the fact that I believe it's beneficial, when I do it, it makes me feel like I'm contributing to something good.
Yeah. Yeah. I do it for me more than anything.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like it makes me feel good. I was thinking environmental, also kind of like my living space. And
Okay.
something that I think is really beneficial for me is getting rid of stuff. And so I do this thing called Toss It Tuesday. And every Tuesday, I'm getting rid of 10 things. So that could be something physical, like going into my daughter's room and taking 10 clothes that she hasn't worn all year, or it might be too small, and putting them in a box to give to Goodwill. Or it might be me picking up a pile of paper and going through and being like, I don't need these things, and tossing 10 things from that pile, or cleaning 10 things out of my car. Or if I'm not going to be home all day, which is usually on what it is on Tuesday, I'll go and delete some pictures off my phone, or some notes that I don't use anymore from my phone, or go through my contacts, delete people I haven't talked to in 10 years. Just freeing up some space for me to breathe.
I love it. That's a
So
huge thing. That's a
Toss
huge
It
thing.
Tuesday, you guys, every Tuesday. And you could even toss like old ideas about yourself that aren't serving you. You can toss friends that aren't serving you. You can um, declutter a little section of your house. You can, give things to Goodwill. I have a friend who, she's also vegan. She works at the swim school with me. And sometimes I'll buy things for Cora, like crackers that she doesn't like. And I don't want to keep crackers around the house. We've talked about that before. A little bit of a trigger food for me. So I'll take like 10 things that Cora or I haven't eaten in a while, and I'll put them in a bag and I'll bring them to her. And she's like, oh, did you clean out your cupboard? I'm like, yep. And she's like, thank you.
Mhm.
And she'll get so excited that I donated my food to her.
That's great.
It's like on the Grinch when he says, one person's trash is another person's potpourri.
treasure or treasure.
But they say potpourri in the Grinch. But yeah, one person's trash is another person's treasure. So give your stuff to Goodwill. I've gone to Salvation Army and bought like amazing, like when Cora was a baby. I mean, I didn't buy very many clothes anyway, because most of her stuff is my friends have given me so many clothes and toys and everything for her, and then I passed them on afterwards. But I remember I got her this really nice I forgot the brand. It's some kids brand that's really popular, but it was like $4, and it was this like jacket she wore for like 3 years. So thank you to whoever gave it to us, whoever donated it. All right, we have one more: recreational wellness.
I mean, the first thing I think of is find a new hobby. So for me this year, I'm committing to reading 25 books in the year 2025. I think I'm on book number 9 already, and we're a quarter of the way through, 8 or 9. And so, I've never really been much of a reader, but my husband is. So I decided, I'm going to start reading the books. When he's done reading it, I'm going to read it. And then we kind of already branched out on, I got different interests. He has different interests. So I'm into it. Like I really, some books have been difficult to read. Some it's like, oh my God, I kind of miss those characters. Um,
I know, I
so
get that way too.
I'm really into it. And then another thing is my husband is into bird watching. So I went bird watching with him twice, and we got a couple bird feeders, and I watch I work from home. So I watch the birds and they're piggies because we fill up a bird feeder and 3 days later we got to refill it. But it's just a new hobby that I'm starting with my husband, is the whole, bird thing. And eventually, we're going to be redoing our yard. So maybe I'll get into gardening and planting my own fruits and vegetables in our yard. And so I think just something that I really never did because I put so much time into my sport for so
Yeah,
many years. My hobby was my sport.
right.
And now my sport is my sport, and I have different hobbies.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I would also say, very simply just do something fun. Like, just
Right.
find some things that are fun and just do them. And it doesn't matter if nobody else thinks it's fun. So, like on a Friday night, me going to the gym is fun and I enjoy that. And I love that. Somebody else might be like, that sounds miserable on a Friday night. I like to go to the bar. I like to go to karaoke. I like to play games with my kids. Like, there's a lot of different ideas of fun, but what you think is fun, do something fun that brings you joy, that makes you laugh. Go out with your girlfriends, watch a funny movie. Um, just just do something you enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I did not even think about this until you were talking about your relationship. That wasn't on our list. Relationship
Relationship
wellness
wellness.
is huge. What, I don't know what happened to that. I did not recognize that. So what's your relationship wellness tip?
Communicate and don't hold back.
Yeah.
It goes back to that emotional, I think when you're in you have a relationship, whether it's a spouse or just a friend or a coworker or family member, there's an emotion attached to it. And that could create negative emotional wellness for you, a family dynamic, like for me going on right now. And once I was able to get over something and I was able to communicate how I'm thinking and feeling to get answers, I feel so much better. Like I almost feel like the past few days, because haven't been getting much sleep, I've
Right.
been really, really kind of stressed about my situation. Today, because I communicated a little better yesterday, I almost feel like I'm a little hungover today because I kind of just released this I had this good cry, and I communicated with my family member, and I feel a lot better. I know tomorrow's going to be an amazing day because I'm kind of in this transition phase. And so I think when you don't communicate, and and it's frustrating because you're not communicating, it's your fault that you're frustrated. It's not their fault. As long as
Right.
you know, say what you want to say, you're going to feel a whole lot better.
Yeah. Communication. I would say my biggest tip for a good relationship is schedule time for that human or dog or whatever you're
Yeah.
doing a relationship with, it, to make time for that person. And for me, I have to schedule it, and that makes it simple. It's always on the calendar. My mom and I have our date tonight because that was one of my New Year's resolutions, was to spend more time with my mom. So at the beginning of the year, we said the fourth Thursday of the month, but she's already busy the fourth Thursday of this month. So we moved it to the third Thursday.
Mhm.
So we have date night, and she's been under the weather. I'm a little overwhelmed. We're not going to do anything crazy. We're probably going to do, like, she hasn't done her exercise today and she's really focusing on exercise. We might go and like sit on the bike for 30 minutes and catch up. And then she's like, do you need help with anything in the house? I'm like, yeah, my house is super messy. So
Mhm.
we'll probably sit on the bike for 30 minutes and catch up, come to my house, order food, chit chat, and like maybe clean one thing.
Yeah.
But it's like,
I agree with you about scheduling time is
yeah, but we
important.
wouldn't have done that. And this is, we'll get to connect, we'll get to catch up, we'll get to just spend time together.
Mhm.
So to me, it's simple and it's very important to schedule.
Well, and it's like me and my friend Ann, we have this
Yeah.
Thursday date every Thursday. And it changes. Sometimes we'll do a big workout, sometimes we'll do a smaller workout together. Like today we went for a 3-mile walk together. So it's that accountability that we have with each other. She gets, we we motivate each other to get the thing we wanted to get done, and it's scheduled, and it's really important.
Yeah, 100%. All right. We would love to hear your guys' tips. If you guys have anything you want to add to any of this, let us know. Do you have a listener question?
I do. It's on my notes. Let me see
Speaking
if
of
I can
notes.
quickly find it. Here it is.
Okay.
So again, it's from an athlete. She's training for an ultra. And her question is it okay to run on the treadmill due to weather issues? I was told that I should only run outside to mentally prepare for the 50K itself, and that treadmill running is too easy. Am I cheating myself by doing so? So the first things when an athlete asks me a question, I tend to ask 5 back
Right.
is, what does that mean? What does too easy mean to you? What does this person mean? It's too easy. Number 2, what does it mean by cheating yourself? And number 3, I'd like to do a podcast on this is, are you trying to give yourself an excuse not to run because your only option is the treadmill, but someone said, why do the treadmill? It's too easy and you're cheating yourself. Are you trying to give yourself an excuse? I always tell athletes, especially those who are just runners, they're not multi-sport, running on the treadmill is better than not running at all. And specifically, like for an ultra, what I've done, we had just a week ago, we had really bad weather on the Monday. And the Monday that I want to do this certain thing on the last day of my birth month, I couldn't do on that Monday. So I just went to the treadmill and I set it up on a steep incline. And I kind of visualized, if I were to be outside today, what would I be doing and how can I simulate that same workout indoors? So I simulated the incline, I simulated my pace, I simulated my effort. So treadmills, sometimes are an easier way to get the workout done. Like for me, my treadmill, it's a 5-minute drive to my treadmill, or maybe a 3-minute drive to my
Right.
treadmill. Whereas the mountain I wanted to run on was an hour and a half away. So no, it's you could really, again, if you want to run on the treadmill or bike indoors, just simulate the workout that you would have done outdoors, and it's going to be very effective. And even
Right.
if you don't do the exact same workout that you would have done outdoors, doing something is better than doing nothing.
Yeah. And a step mill, if you're doing something where there's a lot of elevation, a step mill, it teaches your body to keep your legs, your knees up and taking big steps. So that would be beneficial. And we have these treadmills at Lifetime, which I'm sure you do too, since it's Lifetime, that go downhill. It's only 3% grade, but you can go downhill on these treadmills to simulate some downhill as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like treadmill, I did a 51K on the treadmill for my 51st birthday. It wasn't easy. I'll tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Tell you, running 51K on a treadmill is way harder than running outside. Maybe not physically, but definitely mentally. You are building some big, tenacious brain
Yeah, I agree.
for race day. My question was on, it's funny, somebody asked it and then somebody else was like, me too, I need to know that. And it was about breathing while you're running. And so I was like, well, they're like, how do you breathe when you run? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I asked a bunch of questions too, because I'm like, you just breathe. So I asked a few more questions and I think they were like, what they wanted to know the best way to breathe. Like, what if I'm a mouth breather? What if I this and that? I feel like everybody is so different. If you took the top 10 runners in the world, they're all going to breathe a little bit differently. So there's no right or wrong way to breathe. I think the more you run and the better shape you are for running, breathing's going to be easier. So
Yeah, it's
there's
going to be
a lot, that's
natural.
it's a lot about training and what you're doing in training. But I did, because I think people like some specific ideas to start with. And since we do want to make this as simple as possible, I did happen upon it. Social media knew I was like mulling this in my brain, and all of a sudden this article popped up just like 2 hours ago. So I read it, and it's exactly what I would say if somebody wanted some specific things. Number one, practice belly breathing so that you're breathing more from your diaphragm, less just your lungs so you can get more air and more oxygen. So laying on your back, putting one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, try to move your belly up and down, filling with air and emptying with air without moving your chest. So it just helps teach you diaphragmatic breathing. If that's, to have something a skill or a drill to work on better, more effective breathing. In this article, they said use a rhythmic breathing pattern while running, which I feel like if you're a runner, you naturally do that. But if you want to try to work on that, to simulate that, they recommend a 3-2 pattern. So kind of like 3 steps, inhale, 2 steps, exhale, 3 steps, inhale, 2 steps, exhale. Again, if that doesn't come naturally to you, I wouldn't push that. But if you're wanting to kind of experiment with a breathing pattern, that was just one that they mentioned.
And I think when it comes to breathing, a lot of it's going to be on what intensity you're running at. Is it a low
100%.
intensity or a high intensity? That's going to change the way you breathe.
Yeah.
So just paying attention and being mindful of what's going on in your body.
Yeah.
Which should help you get a natural rhythm.
Yeah. And then the third thing, and I would say this as well, is exhale fully. So you're not it's kind of like, I think as swimmers, we do that automatically because if you are holding your breath when you swim, you're going to get out of breath because it's like you're going to be hyperventilating by the end of the 100. If you're doing the, that's too hard. But if you take a deep inhale, exhale fully, when you're ready to breathe, take a breath, inhale, exhale fully. So I feel like if you're a swimmer, you kind of automatically do that if you're an effective and efficient swimmer. So maybe just transfer that to your running, like take your breath and just make sure that you're not doing shallow, short, fast breaths, because I feel like that's what's going to get you out of breath. But I will tell you, if you're sprinting, you're going to be taking short, fast breaths.
Right. So again, this person, I saw her posted in the group and I'm thinking she could just be running at too high of intensity and getting out of breath.
Right.
So maybe that's why she's questioning, how do you breathe? Because I'm always out of breath because I'm always running too hard.
Right.
So obviously, when you're building up running or building up any conditioning, you have to be able to breathe.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing wrong with slowing down to
Or
catch
walking.
your breath and to breathe more aerobically.
Yeah. Yeah. Slow down and walk. So those are just some, like Wendy said, all these questions, when we get them, if they're asked to us directly, we usually ask several questions back just to get an idea of how we can best help them with our answers. So I did ask a few questions, and it seemed to me that they were looking for some like specific maybe drills or tips that they could try. But in general, we're all different. Try what works. Try things, and you're going to find what works best for you. What are you most excited for the week?
The end of my birth month and hopefully getting to the mountain that I want to get to.
Right. You're like,
that's going to be most exciting to me. I do have a swim meet that weekend and I am volunteering. So I'm actually really looking forward to volunteering for the Georgia Death Race that weekend. And it's going to be less chaotic than I thought because not as many kids are going to our last end of the season swim meet because they're going to be on spring break. And so my plan was to go to prelims, go to finals, and then go overnight volunteer, and then go to prelims, and then go to finals.
Oh my gosh.
And I was willing to do it because I really want to volunteer at this race because I have some friends doing it. And now I just have swimmers going on Saturday and not Sunday. So I get to go to the meet Saturday. I get to volunteer, and then I'm free on Sunday. And then hopefully Monday, the final day of my birth month, I get to do my mountain run.
Yay. I'm excited for that. Can't wait to hear about it. I get to do a half marathon on Sunday.
Yay.
I'm super not trained for a half marathon, but that's kind of how I like to start my intensity for my season, is do something that's really hard that kind of reminds me that I need to work on it. So I'm excited for my half marathon.
Good.
All right.
Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Thank you.
If you guys have any questions about anything we talked about or have anything to add, we always want you to add things because we're obviously, everything we say is just from our own personal opinion and we value everybody's opinion. So please add on to where you feel like we kind of lacked.
Yes.
Yes. And we'll see you guys next week.
Make it a
Make it a
great
great day.
day.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Wellness Made Easy with Wendy and Kirsten.
If you want to learn more about us or anything we talked about today, check out the links in our show notes.
We would love to know what you think of our podcast and what you want more of. So drop us a comment, send us a message, and help us out by leaving us a rating and a review.
And don't forget to let us know your wellness win for this week.
Thanks for listening.
Make it a great day.